They thought numbers were enough. They thought that by gathering together, by pooling their resentment, by combining their whispers, they could bury you. The clan convinced themselves that unity was the same as strength, but they forgot the most important rule of war. If every soldier carries weakness in their chest, their army will collapse under its own noise. They came at you together, thinking intimidation multiplies in crowds. Yet you, standing alone, didn't just hold your ground. You dismantled the illusion that many against one guarantees victory. Power is not in numbers. Power is in clarity. You had it, and they didn't. When people gang up, it's not about truth. It's about fear. They unite not because they're strong, but because none of them can face you alone. That's what they never want to admit. The clan forms because the individual fails. They borrowed courage from each other, like thieves passing stolen coins. But borrowed courage never lasts. You faced them with a calmness they couldn't replicate, and that calmness became their undoing. Every move they made showed desperation. Every attempt to corner you revealed their lack of control, and desperation never beats someone who refuses to flinch. They attacked your reputation, thinking words would cage you. They spread stories, thinking lies would become law if enough mouths repeated them. They underestimated silence. Your silence became the blade they couldn't blunt. Instead of defending yourself, you kept moving, and that drove them mad. Because the human mind hates unanswered narratives. They wanted you to break, to fight, to scream back. You didn't. You let their noise echo into emptiness, and emptiness is what broke them. People collapse when their efforts produce no reaction. Your refusal to play gave them the mirror of their own futility. What happens when an entire group fails to break one person? Shame. Shame becomes a poison that rots from the inside. They will never tell you, but behind closed doors they argue. They blame each other for not going harder, not being smarter, not striking at the right time. The clan that united against you begins to fracture because their common goal was your destruction. And when that fails, their unity collapses. You didn't need to fight them directly. You only needed to survive, to remain standing long enough for their own weakness to eat them alive. You didn't survive them by force. You survived them by focus. You didn't get lost in their chaos. You didn't let their energy redirect yours. You stayed committed to your path. That kind of commitment is more terrifying than anger. Anger burns out. Commitment multiplies. While they wasted hours plotting how to unsettle you, you invested hours into building yourself. And the results showed. They grew tired. You grew sharper. They wore each other down with gossip and schemes. You sharpened your mind with silence and structure. That is why they failed. Because you invested while they wasted. It is important to see the psychology clearly. They wanted to strip you of identity. Groups like this don't just want to win. They want you erased. They want you questioning yourself so deeply that you fold into them. But you didn't fold. You reminded yourself of who you were before their noise. You held on to your values, your standards, your boundaries. You acted from your truth rather than their pressure. That refusal to bend became armor. And armor made from identity cannot be pierced by numbers. They learned that lesson too late. You cannot erase someone who refuses to forget themselves. You should never underestimate the power of endurance. People love quick victories. They imagine one big blow will finish you. When it doesn't, they get sloppy. They grow frustrated, careless, exhausted. You, however, grew patient. You let them swing wildly, let them spend their strength, let them circle like vultures, while you stood steady. And when their storm finally tired, you were still standing. That is the deepest humiliation for anyone who unites against you. To realize that after all their effort, after all their plotting, after all their numbers, you are still there, breathing, building, walking forward. They failed because you didn't fight on their terms. They wanted you defensive. You gave them indifference. They wanted you broken. You gave them unshaken focus. They wanted to see you crawling. You kept walking upright. Their clan depended on you reacting in the way every weaker person had before you. But you became the exception. And exceptions terrify people who rely on patterns. The clan saw that their formula, unite, overwhelm, destroy, did not work on you. And when formulas fail, fear begins. They stopped seeing you as just a person. They started seeing you as something untouchable. What they never saw coming was that their unity was actually a weakness. By standing together, they exposed their fear. By plotting loudly, they revealed their insecurities. By moving in groups, they admitted their inability to move alone. And you, standing solitary, revealed strength. There is nothing scarier to a group than someone who doesn't need one. They cannot understand it. They cannot fight it. They cannot accept it. And so they retreat, covering their failure with excuses. But in their silence, they all know the truth. They failed. And they failed against one. So here you are. One against many, yet still whole. They will not admit your strength. They will not speak of how you stood. But the fear they carry now is proof enough. The clan worked together, and still they couldn't bring you down. That should tell you something important about yourself. You are far stronger than the stories you've been told. You are sharper than the traps set for you. You are built in ways that numbers cannot break. Remember this every time life turns a crowd against you. You don't need their collapse. You only need your endurance. And endurance is what makes entire clans fail.